Hello, welcome back to the Heart and Hustle podcast. I am Angelica Yard.
And I am Charisma O'Keefe, and we are here every Thursday talking to you about business, balance, entrepreneurship, life, and everything in between. And you can always reach out to us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. On Twitter, we're Heart Hustle Pod. Instagram, Facebook, we're Heart Hustle Podcast. You can slide in our DMs. You can ask questions. A lot of times we will ask for listener questions on here, so be sure to send those questions our way. Let us know, just what you want to know about business or any questions you have, even if it's like something very specific. We always have different types of people here on the podcast. We've had lawyers on, we've had accountants on, we've had toy makers on. So if you have something specific that you want to ask, please ask away. We would love to make sure that we get that information to you.
Yeah, you said every Thursday, every-ish.
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 Mostly every Thursday, though.
For the most part. We're trying. We're human beings. We have not taken a break. So this year, which most people during the summer are pretty much on hiatus from recording. So the fact that we show up is, you're welcome.
Yes, you're welcome. We do not plan to stop this summer. We plan to continue recording. And with some good guests this summer, too, which is great.
It's fantastic. The world is, as always, promptly on fire, as it has been since the beginning of this podcast, but specifically
it really has, because we've been recording for about 5 years. And so I think 5 years ago it was not so bad, but
it was the beginning
bad,
of terrible because it was the election year. It was 2016.
Yeah, it's getting
so it got
worse
bad.
and worse and worse. So yeah, it's a lot this past year. It's kind of nonstop. And I think that I don't know, just every group of people is kind of going through something right now. The Delta variant is still doing its thing. A lot of people aren't vaccinated. I was just looking at the numbers here as we were chatting, and a lot of places where you'd think that there'd be a lot of vaccinated people, like Williamsburg, New York. There's not actually a lot of vaccinated people. It's 23% of people. And the Delta variant killed 8 people in, I don't know if it was Orlando or Orange County specifically the other day. But yeah, 8 people in Florida definitely died from the Delta variant the other day. People are dying from the Delta variant in different states and different areas. So yeah, it's definitely, still obviously concerned about the pandemic and just everything going on. But, it's therapy. Therapy's great.
Yeah,
I'm so thankful for therapy.
Get a therapist. They're fun people. I will say, yeah, we are still, in case anyone's wondering, we're still wearing masks and trying to be outside and not be inside. That's not going to change because you people keep coming here and I have no choice but to stay in my home. I'm going to say that until the summer is over. I'm you people keep coming here to visit. And so therefore
if you can get out every day and get out and enjoy a little bit of sunshine, not too much, because obviously you don't want to overheat. And it's hotter today here in DC than it is in Orlando. And I'm like, what the heck is this? I checked the weather for both places and I was like, how is this fair? We're 10 degrees hotter than y'all.
Yeah. I mean, Portland was hotter than both places for a week.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of heat waves and stuff going on. So just, make sure that y'all are staying hydrated as much as you can. Don't forget to drink in the evening. I think a lot of people just drink when they're hot, especially water. They're I'm going to drink water, have fruit when I'm actively hot. But the trick is doing it before you actually get hot. So in the evening, especially if you know you're going to go hiking or just be out and about, please have water in the evenings too, and just continue hydrating throughout the day. Because we want you to be safe. And yeah, these temperatures are getting high and scary. But at the same time, I do think if you can get outside every day safely, it is so great for your mental health. And, try to meet with people outside. We don't just have to all go inside. There's still a Delta variant. Please be careful. Wear your mask if you're inside.
I will talk to people outside without having to be you don't have to be in each other's nostril hairs.
Yeah.
To have conversation. I don't, when I say that I'm inside, I mean, I still talk to human beings. That just doesn't mean I'm all in their house taking my shoes off and we're all having our kids walking around with no mask.
I've heard that people that are going out and about, say to whether it be the movies or theme parks or, just anywhere where you'd be waiting in a line or grocery stores even, a lot of people are saying that people now are back to just not understanding personal space and even worse than before. And I truly don't understand that, because of all the things, there's been a lot of terrible things to come out of the pandemic, but having personal space is not one of them. Like, I still think that why would you not want to just like have a little space between you and the person next to you? Like, there's no reason to be like all up
If
on
you're a
them.
therapist, come talk to us about that choice that people
Yeah,
make. I would
it's
love
very
to know the
perplexing to
thinking
me.
behind it.
So I guess a lot of people are saying that, they'll be like in line at the grocery store or
Oh
whatever,
yeah,
and
no, I
just
will
somebody
tell
will
you, it's
be
true. It's a true
right
thing. It's
up
real.
on them.
It's a real thing. They
Um,
still have the stickers on the ground, and people don't care. And I do. So please
and I'm
don't
like, to
stand
me, even
next to
without the
me.
stickers, I'm just like, why would you want to be so close to someone ever? Like, outside of, COVID existing or anything else like that, it's just like, if you don't know somebody, like, wouldn't you want just like a little bit of space between you and that person?
I'm like, what are you gonna do if somebody crop dusts you, dude?
Yes,
You're not wearing a mask, so
exactly.
you can smell it. So what are we doing?
Like, it's just a little like too close for comfort, and it's strange. Luckily here, so our Trader Joe's has like 6 like checkout lines, and they like, you'll wait in like a big overall line that they like are still spacing out, and then they'll send you to like the little individual line. So like, that's been pretty easy. And then the Harris Teeter, they have like 4 like checkout on your own lines, and they are never like busy. Everybody always just goes to like the regular line. So I would just go to the checkout, like, what do they
Yeah,
call it?
self
What do they call it?
checkout.
Self. Thank you. I was like, check out on your own line. Like, why did they find the longest way to say that? Oh yeah, I'm heading to the checkout on your own line. But yeah, I go through that, and it's just easy in and out, and there's like nobody around. But yeah, I'm interested to see how things are. I'm just trying to like avoid crowds. I did go to New York City last weekend, and I was in Brooklyn. Nobody's wearing their mask. I didn't even see people like with masks outside of like me and my family. Um, and we wore them like when we were in big crowds. And then obviously, like, we sat down and like had food, when we were in the park, and then we weren't wearing them. If we were like alone, we weren't wearing them. But there was a lot of crowds, a lot of people like kind of like up in your business and that sort of thing. So it was like, okay, time to put that mask on. But yeah, it's very interesting. And like, I looked up the neighborhood that we were in, and it's only like 27% people there are vaccinated. So it's a lot of people who have to kind of worry about that Delta variant. Which, is it in New York yet?
It's everywhere.
Seems like it's all over the East Coast at
It's
least.
everywhere. It's
Okay.
everywhere. It
Yeah.
is. Just
So
it's fine.
just be
Um,
careful, people. We want you to be okay.
you're in charge of your own self. So I will see you when it's safe. Most of you. Should be a long time. Other than that, in terms of summer business trends and forecasting, it seems like people are still obviously spending money like they never stopped. Outside is still expensive. So people, I think, there's like a range of people who are like, I'm still out here spending money because I can, I have it, I have extra, because there are better wages for a lot of places, but there still are people being a little bit more reserved. So you may see some dip in your summer sales, and then you may see that uptick obviously in the fall and the winter. So I would prepare for, if you have seen a dip between your like spring sales and then your summer's kind of gone down, and just prepare that fall and winter is going to be nuts. And also just because we don't know how the Delta variant is going to go, and I don't think there will be a forcible and enforceable lockdown situation, but people may be more hesitant to go back outside into stores during that time. So your e-commerce situation needs to be on point, and make sure you have really good email sales funnel situation to follow up with your customers who may have not been ordering during the summer, just to let them know that you have things that are coming. So just prepare your communication and be ready for the influx of shopping that's going to happen in the fall and the winter, because people definitely are going to go back to like Christmas parties and Christmas dinners and that type of, I've seen so many events, and we've been talking about
Yes,
events and stuff with
definitely.
different people. So those will be happening obviously this year, I think, regardless of whether or not COVID's really bad or not. But just be prepared that people may need your services if you're a service provider. So if you're a designer, especially, really be out there networking right now, because in the fall, people are definitely going to be looking to hire more people to do stuff. So
Yeah, I'm definitely starting my Christmas shopping at the end of August because I want to, shop small. And I know that a lot of places are just going to be like overwhelmed with orders and that sort of thing. So I just want to make sure that I kind of
yeah,
get those orders in early. So I'm going to kind of start that process. I mean, it normally takes me a few months to get everything like ordered and done and everything. Also, because it's like sometimes you don't know exactly what you want and you're just kind of like browsing on Etsy or whatever. So yeah, but I plan to start late August and continue
Yeah,
buying through,
supplies are also down a lot. My friends who've started back to
yes.
school shopping, not me, they have said that it has been a struggle in especially the uniform space. So if you are a person who utilizes kind of like your maybe not a set uniform provider, but maybe you're more so the Target, the Old Navy, the Walmart, I would suggest you probably do that early, or if you can find a small business, buy from them instead, because what's going to happen is the more we wait out, there's going to be less quantities available because a lot more kids
Yes.
are starting school this year. There's double the kindergartners because a lot of people did not send their kids to school last year. So this will be
Yeah,
really big kindergarten
definitely.
classes, really big sixth grade classes, that type of thing. So the jump ahead classes where people typically held their kids back, they're going to be really full. So fifth grade, the seventh grade, that type of thing. So just be prepared now to start trying to get your spot. And you don't have to go to a big retailer for school supplies. The thing about school supplies is that a kids go through them like water, first of all. So I know that like if you financially need to save, obviously splurge, go to a big box store. But if you have that little bit of extra money, go get like a pencil that's made from certain people, a pencil case that's made on Etsy, that type of thing. Backpacks maybe that are more done by smaller, just because you can shop small, probably find everything you need on your list, versus trying to fight somebody breathing down your neck in Target for pencils that do the same thing as the other pencil. You know what I mean? Like if you have
Yeah.
the money to kind of splurge a little bit, I would invest in probably better quality backpacks and things, just because kids are rough. If you've met a child, you know they're violent with things that they didn't pay for, even things they do pay for. So just
And I would say it's like what, July 14th. So this is your
school starts
annual.
in a
Yeah,
month for
this is your
us.
annual reminder. If you are going to be having specific items in your shops or whatever for fall and winter, probably get ordering on that supplies right now. I know last year there was a huge shortage for jars. Eventually, there ended up being a shortage for candle wicks. So yeah, like make sure that you're ordering that stuff now. Make sure that you're kind of getting those ideas together ahead of time so that it's not September and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, like I can't get my hands on A, B, and C that I use to make whatever it is that I sell in my shop. So start kind of, budgeting that and trying to get that in the next few weeks if you can do so. Because I just imagine that it's going to kind of be the same thing where there's going to be a lot of shortages of different things. Also, if you're looking to like buy furniture and you want that furniture to be here before the holidays, I know it's early, but like some of these places are that backed up, especially like, so we've been looking at the idea of getting an organic couch. And they're even like, so the places that like specialty make things are even more backed up. And this isn't like, this isn't like the fanciest, like it's maybe like a few $100s more than a couch at Rooms to Go. Like it's not crazy fancy or anything. Like the one I'm looking at is like 1900. So it's not like ridiculously priced. It's not a super, super fancy place, but they do custom order things. And they're all like organic couches. And it's like they're so backed up more than they normally are because they can't get their hands on the supplies that they need to make things like in a more timely manner. So we've definitely seen like the bigger box retailers have those issues with furniture, but I think that, the smaller places are as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. I know a lot of people are kind of like switching up their home thing. We've seen a lot of people move to just completely different lifestyles. Like we were just talking about how you have a friend that moved from Celebration and moved kind of like out to like the sticks and bought a ton of land and like, has a house there now. So it's like a lot of people are kind of, I think that, quarantine's just made people reflect and be like, okay, what do I want life to look like? So if you've made a change and are looking to furnish your place and you want it furnished by the holidays, please get those orders in like in the next few months because it is taking, up to like 4 or 5 months for some places to get furniture back to people. So
Well, other than that, we have an amazing guest who is really knowledgeable in her area, and so definitely listen to the end because she gives you some really information on something that she is doing that you should buy ASAP because it will be super helpful, especially as we talk about these fall changes, just getting your stuff together to be able to get into the fall and the winter and not drown in the busyness of the season.
And
So
something affordable, which is great.
affordable. We
Yes.
always try to give you things
Yes.
that are affordable. So definitely check it out. Let us know what you think. As always, you can leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can always follow us on Instagram at Hard Hustle Podcast and on Twitter, Hard Hustle Pod, and use the hashtag Boss So Hard so we can know what you are up to during this hot time. Hopefully, if you're outside and you're around people, share us pictures of you wearing masks. I'd appreciate it.
All right, guys, we will see you next week.
Bye. Hi, friends. We're so excited to have a guest. I feel like it's the first guest of the real summer. We've been talking to each other for a long time. Nikki Nash here, who is an author, speaker, entrepreneur, a true crime enthusiast, I learned 5 seconds ago. So, Nikki, for our listeners who are not familiar with you and what you do, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my goodness. Well, first, for having me on the show. This is so much fun. And yeah, I love it. And quick, I guess, rundown on who the heck I am. I am a former corporate marketer. I started my career in publishing, actually, at InStyle Magazine and then Travel and Leisure, and then did a stint in advertising for a couple of years and ultimately migrated over to like what we called the client side. And I, interned at Coca-Cola when I was between my first and second year of getting my MBA. And then I ultimately went to Intel because I wanted to do more digital marketing and content marketing. And my background before that had been in what we call traditional marketing, like advertising and print and all the things that were on trend for radically changing or dying, essentially. And after about 3 years at Intel, I found out that ovarian cancer ran in my family. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to spend my life in a cubicle. And I found out I don't have the gene or the genetic marker, and neither does my sister, but my mom and her sister did, and it definitely ran in the family. So I quit my job kind of without a real plan. I was like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It's something I'd always wanted to do. I was living on the West Coast. I moved out east, and I legit was like, I don't know how I'm going to replace my salary. And I kind of freaked out and took a head of marketing job in Boston at a tech startup because I said to myself, oh, obviously, if I work for a startup, I will learn how to start up a business. And what I learned is that starting up a business is hard and you just kind of figure it out and nobody really knows what they're doing. So why, unless they've done it already before. So why am I delaying the inevitable? And so about 5.5 years ago, I started a business where I help women essentially build their businesses. But my area of expertise and zone of genius is really around using marketing to build relationships with prospective clients and customers. And then in order to effectively market, we kind of get into like business stuff because I'm like, I need to know what your goals are and you got to have some cash flow and all this other stuff. So I've created a podcast and a book and a company that's essentially goes around the brand Market Your Genius. And it's all about how can you turn your experiences and expertise into a profitable business? How do you market that magic, that genius, which is you? And I help people build essentially personal brand businesses.
Well, that's fun.
Very impressive. Like your LinkedIn is awesome, by the way. I'm like, this is a very great LinkedIn. Yeah, I really love that you saw that like, okay, life is short. Like, let me not spend time doing what I don't want to be doing. Let me just go after it. And I love that you had the idea to like work for another startup because I don't think a lot of people like have that thought, but that's such a really good idea. And yes, of course, like every business is different. And at the end of the day, like you don't really know what it's like until you do it yourself. However, I feel like there's so much to be learned from watching someone else do it, or at the very least, like obviously making connections with people who own businesses like before you open up yours. So I love that like before you fully became an entrepreneur, you're like, let me get out there and see how other people are doing it, because that's a great way to kind of like stop yourself from taking some early missteps. You know?
You learn a lot of what not to do when you work with other people in startups, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, I feel like that's so important because a lot of people, just a lot of people focus on making a certain amount of money before leaving, which 100%, right? Like before you're going to a situation where from a salary job to non-salary, you want to make sure that your bank account looks a certain way if possible. Like I completely get that. But I feel like people focus so much on like, oh, well, once I save X amount of money, I'm going to leave, but not actually on like the skill building process before that. So I just really love that you were like, yeah, I'm going to go work for, a startup. And I think another thing that someone could just do is just kind of like, if you're not in a position where you can do that and you have to stay at like your salary job until you make the jump, like definitely just check out how other people are running their businesses and start to learn before you jump into it. Because as you said, it's hard.
Truth. And you can even start that on the side. Like you don't need
Yes.
5,000 clients to be a business. You just need one,
Yes.
So get a client, see what it's like, learn from it.
So you had this really like amazing, amazing career before you went into entrepreneurship. So what was that transition like for you to go from a marketing executive that's like well known in your community at a corporation to then a full-time entrepreneur?
So it was, oh my goodness, it was a combination of exciting and an emotional and financial roller coaster. And I think the reason for it being is that um, I went into entrepreneurship feeling like I don't know anything, which true. Looking back, it really wasn't true. But that's how I felt. And so I was constantly looking at what other people were doing and trying to go, oh, well, that's how I should be building my business. But I was looking at people who were in business for like 10 plus years and the way they were building their business, or not even building, like the level that they were at and the activities that they were doing weren't necessarily the activities that I should have been focusing on. And so I got my first clients through referrals, word of mouth, friends, like talking to other people about it. And I went, great, got some clients. And then I started trying to implement all of these like big, crazy marketing systems that people who were already at like 2 million plus and I like doing their strategies and wondering why it was not working or overwhelming. And it's like, no, like I'm at a different level. And so I think for me, it was exciting. I learned a ton in that transition, but I think it was kind of one of those personal development journeys where I had to regain and rebuild my confidence. I had to really understand where I was and be cool with it and do things that worked for where I was and kind of figure out what that meant. And I really had to do this kind of development piece on myself that said, I don't need to be like everybody else. I don't need to even be doing what everybody else is doing. I just need to understand the why behind what they're doing and then figure out if that's what I should be doing right now or not. And so that's kind of what like the first year or so of my business looked like, where I, had successes. I made really good money, but I spent a crud ton of money because I didn't have the self-confidence or the trust in myself to figure it out. So I was like hiring coaches left and right. I think I had like so many coaches at one time. Nobody needs like 10 billion coaches when they're just starting their business at one time. Like, one is more than enough. And I think I was just trying to, avoid pain so much as opposed to just enjoying and learning from the journey.
That's relatable. And also it's because coaches become a thing. You know what I mean? Like it's like you need this person to get you through the hard times. Like it's marketed that way. And sometimes it works that way. But starting out so early, you don't even know yourself as an entrepreneur. So how do you expect someone else to know who you are as an entrepreneur? That's such a good point that you made. That if you are going to invest in a coach, I would say at least give yourself the moment to fail. You know what I mean? Like at least let yourself fail and see how you respond to that failure first before you try to stop yourself from like falling on the ground.
Because I feel like coaches are so good for like leveling up, right? Because it's like when you first started, it's like you need to like lay the foundation, lay the groundwork, that sort of thing, and have a chance to like realize where your weaknesses are as an entrepreneur. And that's what a coach can help address and then help like get you to that next level. So I think it's like often something that people will invest in like when they've been doing something for a while and they're trying to get to that like next level. That's what I feel like coaches are probably best for.
When I first started, I was in such an interesting place of not knowing what I should be doing. And so on top of like hiring coaches left and right. I was signing up for like too many classes, and people really just you need like one game plan and one strategy. And to do that over and over again, then figure out what's working, what's not working, where you're stuck. And then you can start hiring people to help you because you know what your problems are. But I didn't give myself, to your point earlier, like permission. I think Angelica said, like, you gotta fail essentially first and realize why you're like, figure out what's not working before you can even go, oh yeah, this is what I need help with. Otherwise you just have somebody telling you what to do, and they may not be giving you the best advice for you personally because you don't even know who you are as an entrepreneur yet.
So, I feel like we're in the age of a brand as a person. I don't even think this is just an entrepreneur thing. I think I talk a lot about how employers have to be aware that millennials are a brand, and when they choose to be employed by their company, they need to respect the brand that the millennial has already built before. You know what I mean? I have a rant about that. But entrepreneurs, for sure, have to create content to build their brand, to build their audience. And I think that's just a thing with existing as a professional, working professional. But for you, and then what advice would you have for entrepreneurs who are looking to do that, to grow their audience? What should they be doing? What type of content should they be creating?
Yeah. And before I answer that, the one thing I have to tell people when it comes to creating content is that it's not often an overnight like solution to getting clients. And so, full transparency, in my business, when I started, I just went live. It started off every day and then I would do it every week, but I just would teach content marketing or digital marketing or different things that I knew. I created this show. It was like called Content and Coffee, and I would just sit there and give some advice to people and teach things. And what ended up happening is people would go, wow, like they would watch, a lot of people would watch and never comment or do anything. So I didn't even know people were watching this thing. But what was cool about it is that after a number of months, and I'm talking like 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, people were like, oh yeah, I'd actually would love to work with you. I've been watching your videos for a while. And the people who signed up after 12 months from when I started this, I had actually stopped the show because I'm like, this isn't really working. And so I'm going to share what type of content you should create, but just know that this is like a long game. And if you need clients or customers now, like start with things that are local, or with your actual current network or referrals from your current clients. And some of that stuff comes organically. And then long term, if you're going to need an audience, you're going to need that visibility. So you need to start that now, but consistently show up, even if it looks like nobody's looking, because they are. A lot of people, I have somebody who literally said, oh yeah, I'm just a lurker. Like I watch all your stuff, but I don't say anything. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because I didn't even know you existed. And then you're signing up for a package talking about, oh yeah, I love all your videos. But
that's how it works sometimes. It's a long game for sure.
Absolutely. But when it comes to content that you should be creating, the one piece that I really believe everybody could benefit from is what I call a weekly show, which is it could literally be a weekly show, or it could be just as far as you're concerned, it's your weekly show where you show up same time, same channel every week with content. And when you do that, and what's cool about the weekly show is that you can make it daily, you can make it weekly. If you're just getting started, maybe it's bi-weekly and you graduate to weekly. But when you consistently show up and give something that's longer form, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, it could be an hour, like you choose. But when you're showing up and you're just adding value, and then at the end, you can do things like, hey, if you got a lot of value out of this video, and you would like support on this specific topic, sign up for a call with me, or share this video with a friend if you know somebody who would get a lot of value out of it. Or if you have a book or something, like if you got value out of this, if you want more content like this, go buy my book. And so you're doing things to just build that relationship with someone and consistently show up so that they know who you are, and you're building that trust over time. And then what's cool is when you have that weekly show, you can then turn that into micro content. You can pull out blog posts from it, transcribe it and edit it up a little bit if it's a video, or you can grab clips of a video, or if it's a podcast, you can grab clips of it, and you socialize that all over the place. And I think so often people are stressing out about, oh my goodness, there are all these platforms and I need to create all this content. and somebody who I actually just watch a lot and admire from a content production perspective is Gary Vee, because he literally just has, I'm convinced, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm convinced he just has somebody record things that he does. And he could literally just be sitting there. There's a video I watched. He was in a taxi in New York and somebody was just recording him talking. And I guess they asked him a question and he just started talking and they recorded it and put that stuff online. And it's not trying so hard to look perfect or for it to be pretty. It's like, hey, I'm just going to consistently give you a little tidbit of information that's super valuable. And people go, wow, that's the person who I know will know the answer, or who I know will be able to help me figure out what's going on in my life, with my health, with my relationship, with my business, whatever it is you help people with. So you really need that consistent show that could be long form, and then you chop it up. Or if you can't do a long form that you record all the time, I batch that stuff. Like I sit down and I just have a day and I just hit record and I just go, let me answer this question that I know somebody's going to have. Let me talk about this topic. And I just record it all, and then it can be edited by someone else. So I definitely recommend a weekly show and then chopping that stuff up into micro content, and you post it on a platform consistently, and you show up and people will connect and engage with you.
Yeah, there's like a running joke that there's a poor intern or someone who like lives with him. You know what I mean? Like like Gary Vee's person who like goes to bed with him and like wakes up and like is attached, like has a water pack on his back because he has to like go to all these things. So yeah, I definitely agree with that weekly show idea. I mean, honestly, that's what we're doing, even though we choose, like as a person who doesn't do a lot of content, don't blog anymore, I don't definitely would never go live. But this is the weekly show. The podcast is the weekly show, and it does work because people do find us and our businesses through this thing that we do consistently. So there's definitely a whole bunch of truth to what you're saying of like just showing up and creating something that you do every week just so people know that you exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I love it because I feel like, a weekly show is something that isn't so overwhelming that like people aren't going to be like, "Oh my god, there's just no way that I can do that." Because, with the way that, Instagram is and, just social media as a whole lately, it's like people are so overwhelmed because they're like, "Oh my god, I got to make a post every day. I got to post a reel every day. I've got to like post 800 times, yada yada yada." But the thing is that like a lot of the schedules that are like out, like that people are using, are just kind of chaotic. So people don't really know when to look for you, when to show up. But if you let people know like, hey, I'm going to be here every Friday at this time, and you actually do that, you actually show up, then it's like, okay, people know like if they want to see you, to show up at that time. And I really feel like for me personally, like there's definitely a lot of creators and bloggers and such that I follow that do have that sort of thing where it's like, I know they're going to go live at a certain time, or I know that they're going to post, like every whatever day they post, and they post like a kind of a consistent sort of type of content at the same time. And so I'll go and look out for those things because I want to see them. So yeah, I think that helps so much, like not only just in just keeping you like making regular content, like keeping you on that schedule, but also just letting your followers know like, hey, this is when and where to find me. Because we're all just like out there on the internet, like talking to the abyss to an extent, you know what I mean? So it's good to let people know where you're going to be. Just like if you were trying to meet up with people in person and share information and share your expertise with them, you would let people know where you were going to be. You wouldn't just like show up to a random coffee shop, stand up and start, speaking. So it's kind of that same thing. You kind of want to give people like a date, a place, and a time. So I super love that a lot. So now we know, okay, a good type of way to make the content. What are the benefits of content marketing for entrepreneurs?
I think there are so many benefits of content marketing. And I think for a lot of people, folks think, oh, okay, the benefit is that I'm being visible and people see me and I'm, getting that sort of exposure. But one of the things that I love telling people about content marketing and some of the benefits of it that people don't realize is that when you consistently show up and you're doing a weekly show and you're adding value to people on a consistent basis, when it comes down for you to create, whether, especially if you're in the business of selling your services, or even something like a physical product that ends up being a book or something, like you have all of that content figured out. And so when I went to write my book, one of the things that I realized is that, oh, I got this. This is so easy because I had been teaching workshops and courses and producing videos and doing webinars for like, I think by the time I started writing it, maybe 4 years, 4.5 years. And so actually longer, because I forgot my side hustle when I worked at the tech startup was I teach digital marketing classes to entrepreneurs. And it was just fun for me. I didn't even realize it was a side hustle, really. And then, or that it would lead into my business. But I taught things so often and I created content so often that when I needed to create a book or when I needed to create an online course or when I needed to create something that would help somebody walk through steps, I knew exactly what I wanted to teach and how to teach it because I put out content consistently and I saw what questions people had, what content people liked. I had people, just go, hey, I'm going to go live next week. What's your biggest problem? And I'll address it. And when you're consistently showing up, it's almost like workshopping your entire business, content or programs in advance or on an ongoing basis and adding to it. It's when I'm writing or creating content that some of my best ideas come from because somebody asks a question and I'm like, how can I teach this in a way that's really easy for this person to understand? And that's how I came up with, I have this method, it's called Just Like Dating. And it's about how marketing is just like dating. And I walk people through it. That happened because I was teaching a class and somebody said, hey, can you explain essentially marketing funnels to me in a way that I understand it? And I was like, oh, sure. Actually, it's just like dating. I don't even know where that came from. But it's like when I started sharing it, it became easy to digest. And then I started putting it online and seeing how people resonated with it. So I think, one of the benefits, and some of them are obviously, you're able to show up, be consistent, connect with an audience. But even just for yourself, you're able to then figure out how can you best teach things? How can you best explain things? How can you package your knowledge in such a way that you can sell it as a book or a course or a membership that people will love because you've already put that content out and you know what works and what doesn't work or how to best explain something?
Yeah. I mean, I think dating is such a good comparison for most people because even if you aren't dating, even a long-term friendship, dating is the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, so having that base and being realistic is something that people can easily, because I feel like content marketing is so, when you use industry terms, you sound like like nuts. Like, you just don't sound like a normal human being. When you talk about things as like sales funnels and lead pages, someone who has no idea what any of this stuff is, you're like, they're completely thrown off, and then they're disinterested, and then they don't want to do it, and then they're discouraged before they get started. So the fact that you have something that's relatable that most people can understand, and understand that it takes work and easy in the beginning, and that you have to kind of keep building on it, it's just, I think it's so approachable, and I think more people will be more intentional with their brands now that they have something as easy as like you've put it out there for people to understand.
Yeah, and I'm like, even those of us who haven't dated in like 8,000 years, because we've been married for a super long time, I feel like a lot of our culture touches on that. So it's just such a really easy like parallel for people to grasp. And I love that.
So why is experimentation so important in marketing? Because I think people, once they hear about content marketing, if you never heard of this thing and you start to get an idea of what you're doing, what are the benefits of now switching it up or maybe doing something a little bit different?
Yeah, I believe that marketing and really business is just one giant science experiment. And I think so often people, and I was this person, so I feel confident saying, like, this is what went on in my head. And that I've had a ton of clients do the same thing where they're like, all right, person, coach, mentor, guru, whatever the heck you want to call someone, give me the answer that is going to help me get more clients. Give me the answer that is going to help me make more money. Give me like the thing I need to be doing. And it's like, well, anybody can tell you what worked for them. They can say, oh, I used webinars, or, oh, I did a challenge, or, oh, I did, a Facebook Live every week, or I use Reels, or TikTok is growing my business, or Clubhouse is blowing it up. You have all these people sharing, what worked for them. But in order for you to know what's going to work for you, or even if somebody else's high level strategy or even tactic is going to work for you, is you have to do it and do it over and over and over again to see if it's working and make tweaks and adjustments along the way. And I think so often one of the biggest mistakes people make is they try something once and go, that didn't work. And then they throw it out the window. And then they look at the next thing. Or maybe it worked, but not as well as they wanted it to. And they're going, oh, but somebody else said I can do this faster and easier and better. So I'm going to go do their method now. And keep in mind, again, I was this person. And so what I tell people is that you have to treat your business and especially your marketing like a mad scientist. And I created an acronym. It's MAD, is MAAD. And it's essentially you have to make a plan, you have to activate the plan, like do the plan. Then you have to adjust the plan based off of the analytics. So you actually have to look at the results of what you just did. And then you have to adjust it, make it better, make something a little bit different, and then you have to do it again. So it's make a plan, activate the plan, adjust the plan, and do it again. And that cycle over and over and over again is how you get more clients on a consistent basis. It's how your business grows. And it's honestly how you create systems and structures where you don't have to do things with the same level of effort each time. You're not starting over again. You're not figuring out, oh, which email should I send? Or, oh, what time of day should I do this? Because you've done it so many times, you know what works. And so when you do something over and over and over again, and you treat it truly like how a scientist would do an experiment, you'd get results. It's not like the light bulb happened with one experiment. It's like, I tried to make a light bulb once and it didn't work. So I just gave up and, there's just not going to be light. It's cool. We'll be fine. We've got the sun. Like, that's not what happened. There were thousands of experiments, even thousands of experiments just on like a little piece of the light bulb, right? So you really, when you can go at your business or at marketing saying, wow, I need to come up with a plan that I really believe I can commit to for the next year. Like, if all I'm going to do, I'm making this up, but if all I'm going to do is launch a podcast to get clients, I need to go all in on this podcast and figure out what's going to work to get me from podcast to clients over and over and over again for the next 12 months and tweak and make adjustments along the way. Because when people try to do too many things, their systems and their, just brain is fragmented, like they can't devote enough energy and effort to something to figure out if it works. So I'm like, get your metaphorical goggles on, run an experiment and do it over and over again and have a whole lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally like for the normal average person with no underlying health conditions, it's like the same thing with weight loss. It's like calorie deficiency and active. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally all you can do to lose weight is take in less calories. But for some reason, we buy all these programs and these plans. We have 95 different people who tell us all the same thing and da da da. And so, like you're saying, until you become consistent, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to see any results. So until you put in the effort, put in the time, put in the work, and really being like, hey, I'm going to show up and do this thing every day. And it's not going to be fun. Like, that's the, I don't know, like entrepreneurship. And I think that's the hard thing with like being a brand as an entrepreneur is that you're at the point when it looks fun to you, you've already done all the hard work. So when you're starting out, you can't compare yourself to the person who you're idolizing because that person had to do all the crappy nights and long weekends and like cheap, clients and have sell products for cheaper than they were and all that type, make mistakes. And so when you're starting out, you do have to understand it's not fun. It's not fun. It will be fun at some point, and some parts will be fun. And it probably is more fun to you than clocking in and doing a 9 to 5, and that's why you're there. But just know it's not glamorous work in the very beginning, and you have to figure out what works so that you can get the results for you and your clients, not for everyone else, what works for you.
Yeah, and I love the idea of like looking at it like a scientist because that does make it more fun. Like just kind of like playing around and having that experimentation. For me, it's like I've loved like exploring different types of content. And I think that like had I had not been open to that, like, I would never be here talking in a podcast, like that's for sure. Like I used to always be like, I want to write, for my blog and I want to write, just long, posts. And because I was a photographer for so long, I just wanted to like share photos, never be the face of my business. I was not interested in that. And in the 12-ish years that I've been an entrepreneur, probably more than that, I guess, the game has definitely changed and like you can't do things the way that you used to do. You kind of in a sense need to be a little bit of the face of your business nowadays. And so thankfully, like I've been open to being adaptable, but I definitely think you have to be open to being adaptable and experimenting in marketing because, marketing just is always changing as well. Just like with the introduction of social media and like the way that has grown has been wild, and it's only going to continue changing. I mean, we just saw now these changes that are coming to Instagram, where they're going to be more video heavy, which, we all could probably see coming. But yeah, it's like, so people are going to need to start experimenting with their reels and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I think it's kind of fun and exciting, but kind of like Angelica, you just said, like, I'm in a place now where things are like good for me work wise. So, starting out in this, I'd be like overwhelmed. But I also do think that, like a lot of people have said, like, there's still kind of like more opportunity than ever to be seen, because there's so many different platforms and ways to like get your message out there, which is awesome.
So true.
So what are your 5 must-haves for building a profitable business? Because, we are all about doing something that you love, and, not having to, getting to a place where you don't have to just hustle. But at the end of the day, like, we're working for money, you know what I mean? So it's like, we work because we love what we do, yes, but we want to be making profit. So what would you say that those 5 must-haves are, so that people can be out there building businesses that are actually profitable?
Yeah. I mean, I think when you are out to build a profitable business, one of the biggest must haves, like you absolutely need this, is you have to have like the mindset and mentality that you are running a business. And I think so often people, especially when they're coming from the place of, I want to help people, go at it and are like, hey, I really want to serve this audience because they really need my help and I really want to support them, but they may not want to pay money for what you've got going on. And so one of the things that often happens is people are going, oh, my business, it's not making any money. And I keep marketing to these folks and I keep hearing I'm too expensive. So therefore I'm going to reduce my prices. And it's like, well, do you have the right offering? Do you have the right target audience? Do you have the right business model? And so often, and I've been through this where I'm like, I know I want to help more people. I'm going to create something that's like $100 or $20. And it's not like it takes less effort to market something that's less expensive. And so one of the must-haves that I have for people is to really determine what is the best business model, what is the best target audience, what is the best product for you to deliver, and to stick with that one offer and deliver it until you know that you can generate a profit from it. Like keep making the product and offering better, keep getting clear on who your target audience is. And so I think, I probably gave too many of the must haves in there, but you must have a solid offering. You must have a clear, defined target audience that you're going to go after. And that doesn't mean that you're only going to go after that offer or that audience forever. And it doesn't mean that you have to customize everything for that audience. It just means that right now, as you go laser focused, you're saying, hey, I'm going to offer this to this audience. I'm going to convert them in this one method. Is it a discovery call or a call that you're converting people on? Is it a sales page? Like, how can somebody actually buy? How are you going to get people into your audience? Like, are you going to organically post on Instagram and do a bunch of reels? Are you going to be guests on podcasts? Are you going to run ads? Like, choose your one method for getting in front of more people. I tell people, there's usually 3 methods. It's OPP. It's how I like to remember it. You down with OPP? It's organic, paid, partner. Which one are you going to do? Are you going to show up organically posting on social media or networking events or things like that? Are you going to pay by running ads or sponsoring something? Or are you going to partner with other people who have that audience that you want and maybe deliver content for them and they give you exposure to your audience? But choose a method. Just choose one and go all in for it, And if you have a mindset, if you have a strong mindset, if you have that clear target audience, if you have that one offering, if you have that one method for getting in front of them, and you have that one way for them to buy, if you focus on all of those things, then you will see results in your business. And I think so often people go, okay, yeah, I have a target audience and I have an offering and my mindset's good, but it's like, no, you have like 10 target audiences and 10 products and you're only one person, and that's hard. So less is more. Focus and just have like one of each of those things, like one target audience, one offering, one way to get in front of them, one way to convert them and sell them, one way to build a relationship with them, and have a really solid mindset along the way, and you'll be in good shape.
People come in and they're like, oh my God, more is more. And I'm like, no, less is more. Like it gets very like convoluted and confusing when you have so many offerings. It's not clear what you do. You know, it's like you can build to having those more offerings, but especially in the beginning, it's like it's so much easier if you have just a clear path of like what it is that you're offering, because people get overwhelmed. And a lot of times when you have too many offerings, like people will be like, well, I don't know what to choose. Because that's the thing, is a lot of times, especially if you're in the market of like coaching and things like that, people are coming to you for clarity, right? And so when you have so many offerings, like they don't know which to choose. Whereas if you have like three that are like very clear, that's going to help them narrow it down and be like, okay, this is what fits me. And I also love that you said OPP, because now I will never forget it. Literally, I was just thinking the other day, I was like, they really just made this song in the 90s and just sang this, and everybody was singing it. And yeah, that's wild.
Oh my goodness, so true.
Ridiculous.
I told my husband the other day, I was like, yeah, y'all were really just out here like singing this. And he's like, yeah, like I was in like, I don't know, I was in like elementary school, I think. And I remember like my mom would play it on the radio because 102 Jams played it. I was like, there's no way she knew what that meant. And I was just like, I cannot.
There are so many songs where I look back and I was singing in middle school and I'm like, who let me listen to this? Like, do I even know? Like Genuine and all this other stuff. I was like, did I know what he meant in the song Pony? Obviously not.
Not at
because
all.
I was like, why was I singing that?
I thought that he was riding a pony. I really did. Because my cousin used to listen
Sebastian
to it.
Sebastian from Parks and Recreation.
Yes, yes. My cousin used to listen to it all the time, and I was like, "Oh, the pony song about the pony." And then I thought that the music, like the sound, was a frog. So it's just like, this is just like an animal song.
Charisma,
like there's a frog,
goodbye.
there's a pony, and me and my cousin to this day still call it the frog song. Because we would ask me and my cousin that are same age would ask her older sister, my cousin, we would be like, put on the frog song, and she's like, guys, please leave my room, like I'm a teenager, like you guys are the worst. So yeah.
The levels of problematic in this story, just unprecedented. Moving on.
You're like, and moving along.
I am literally like the Sandman trying to shoe up all of Christmas nonsense today.
I love it.
What are 3 tools, Nikki, that you use daily to run your business more effectively?
Oh my goodness. Did you say free tools or 3 tools? Because I was still laughing about the frog song.
It's the frog song that has ruined my podcast. Just 3.
Oh my goodness.
Tools. Not necessarily free. They don't have to be free.
3 tools that I use to run my business, and I'm probably going to change them based off of what we talked about today. But some of my favorite, one, I can't live without Calendly because I am terrible at scheduling. And so I have basically like a pro account, and I'm like, hey guys, this is when you can book me. And then it sends out all of the sequence of emails or anything anybody needs to do, because otherwise I can't. I also can't run my business without Loom, because I use Loom, and sometimes I use one's called like, what is it? Like BombBomb. And I can't remember the other one right now, but it's essentially, I hate writing emails. So I record videos and send them to people. So when somebody emails me, I usually send them a video back, because I think too much with emails where I could just talk it out, but who wants to get on the phone nowadays? So I do that. And in that kind of line, I love Voxer, or any way in which I can leave a voice memo for similar reasons. I don't like writing out messages. I just voice memo people. So those are 3 that I love.
There's a lot of type of jobs where people kind of need you to like explain things in that way, like where video would be helpful. Like I know people who will record videos for their clients, like for frequently asked questions and things like that, and just have them like ready to go, especially if like people that sell like layouts and things like that you have to install, and they're like, I don't know how to install that. And so you just kind of have to answer that same question again. So they'll just like record a video. So I love the idea of kind of doing that as well, like when you're answering, emails and stuff, especially with what you do. because speaking to you and like hearing you is like, it's so motivational, you know what I mean? So I really love that you take the time to do that, because you can essentially like connect in a way that you can't when you're writing, you know what I mean? It's just different. I love writing. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna video back people, so y'all don't expect to email me and see a video back, because that would mean that I'd have to do my hair, and I'm not going to do that. But I love that idea. I feel like that for specific businesses, that's just like a game changer. I like that.
Yeah. And what's so funny about it is that I love writing long form content. It's like really long form content. Like I loved writing the book, but you asked me to write a short email and I'm like, oh, this is torture. And so
Yeah.
sometimes I send a video or a voice memo back on like the simplest things. I'm like, here are the days that I'm available. What works for you? And people think or feel so like I'm personable because of it, but it's really, you're more likely to get an answer from me if I send you a video back, in all honesty.
I love that though. And I love that, like, that works better for you and you're doing it, because that's, again, kind of like we were talking about. I mean, it's different because it's not necessarily exactly marketing, but it's the experimentation of like making your business work in a way that works for you. Like, this is not 20-30 years ago. You don't have to answer everything with just an email if you don't want to. So there's just so many options for no matter like what sort of situation you like. You can just kind of create what you want because it's your business. I love that. All right, so tell our listeners where they can follow you to learn more about what you do, and let us know like any upcoming offerings or anything like that that our listeners should be looking out for.
Cool. Sounds good. So probably the best way to connect with me and hear from me on a regular basis is, since we're on a podcast, I'm always like, the name of my podcast is Market Your Genius, and you can check it out there. And let's see, offerings coming up. I have a book, depending on when you guys are listening. Book comes out August 24th of 2021. It's called Market Your Genius. If you can't tell, that is a common brand theme here we've got going on. But it's literally, how do you package your genius in such a way that people want to buy it? How do you promote it so that they keep, you essentially warm people up to buy it? And then how do you deliver it in such a way that the folks who buy from you not only tell everybody and their mother about you, but they keep buying from you and become clients for life? So I am so proud of this book. It has so many, like, if you're a 90s kid or were alive in the 90s, I have a lot of musical references like OPP and television show references to tell stories that make a point. So I find it an entertaining read, even though it's a marketing book. And yeah, that would be kind of the best place to go. And I have, depending on when you buy the book, sweet offers and bonuses. So if you buy it on or before August 23rd, there's a set of sweet bonuses. And if you buy it afterwards, there's a companion course that you'll still get with it, and still some sweet bonuses. So that's where I would send people.
And people can go to marketyourgeniusbook.com to pre-order it, because you guys are going to be hearing this in July. So I think we've talked about here on the podcast how important it is and how helpful it is to pre-order books from people. So marketyourgeniusbook.com, go there, pre-order it today, and read it. I'm going to read it, and then we can see how you guys like it. We'll definitely.
Are you going to do a playlist? Because if you do a book launch playlist on Spotify, I would be down to clown. Listen to
it. Yeah, no, it's legit. So the companion course, essentially what it is it's like, it's on its own. It doesn't really make sense. It just goes with the book, and it has things like a playlist. I have something that I call the inner soundtrack remix, because I find my limiting beliefs like a continuous loop of negative thoughts, kind of like getting a bad song stuck in your head. So I'm like, create a playlist. And so I have a playlist of music that's like designed for me, like it helps me, but other people may get some joy out of it, to kind of like pump you up, get you excited, listen to it before sales calls or before you have to do something that you're afraid to do or something like that. And it kind of puts you in a good mood. So there's definitely a playlist, and you guys should definitely listen to it. Yay. Give me suggestions too. I'll add to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I am super sold. Well, thank you so much, Nikki. I learned so much today. I am so excited to read your book, because I've been honestly needing like a good, like more businessy book to read lately, because I've just been like stuck in like I'm only reading like Black fantasy novels right now. So I'm really excited to pick that up. Definitely excited to read Spotify. I actually just ordered my book right now as we were talking. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for our listeners to read it and for us to hopefully talk about it maybe later this year on the podcast again.
That would be magic.